Leonidas I, was a warrior king of the Greek city-state of Sparta. He led the Spartan forces during the Second Persian War and is remembered for his heroic death at the Battle of Thermopylae. Leonidas was the third son of Anaxandridas II of Sparta, and thus belonged to the Agiad dynasty, who claimed descent from the demigod Heracles. Life: according to Herodotus, Leonidas' mother was his father's niece and had been barren for so long that the ephors, the 5 annually elected administrators of the Spartan constitution, tried to prevail upon King Anaxandridas to set aside his wife and take another. Anaxandridas refused, claiming his wife was blameless, whereupon the ephors agreed to allow him to take a second wife without setting aside his first. This second wife, a descendant of Chilon the Wise, promptly bore a son, Cleomenes. However, 1 year after Cleomenes' birth, Anaxandridas' first wife also gave birth to a son, Dorius. Leonidas was the second son of Anaxandridas' first wife, and either the elder brother or twin of Cleombrotus. Because Leonidas was not heir to the throne, he was not exempt from attending the Agiad, the public school that the sons of all Spartans had to complete in order to qualify for citizenship. Leonidas was thus one of the few Spartan kings to have ever undergone the notoriously harsh training of Spartan youth. Anaxandridas died in 520 BC, and Cleomenes succeeded to the throne sometime between then and 516 BC. Dorius was so outraged that the Spartans had preferred his half-brother over himself that he found it impossible to remain in Sparta. He made one unsuccessful attempt to set up a colony in Africa and, when this failed, sought his fortune in Sicily, where after initial successes he was killed. Leonidas' relationship with his bitterly antagonistic elder brothers is unknown, but he married Cleomenes' daughter, Gorgo, sometime before coming to the throne in 490 BC. Leonidas was clearly heir to the Agiad throne and a full citizen at the time of the Battle of Thermopylae against Argos. Likewise, he was a full citizen when the Persians sought submission from Sparta and met with vehement rejection in or around 492/491 BC. His elder brother the king had already been deposed on grounds of purported insanity, and had fled into exile when Athens sought assistance against the first Persian invasion of Greece, that ended at Marathon. Plutarch has recorded the following: when someone said to him, "Except for being king you are not at all superior to us," Leonidas, son of Anaxandridas and brother of Cleomenes, replied, "But were I not better than you, I should not be king." As the product of the Agiad, Leonidas is unlikely to have been referring to his royal blood alone but rather suggesting that he had, like his brother Dorius, proven superior capability in the competitive environment of Spartan training and society, and that he believed this made him qualified to rule. Leonidas was chosen to lead the combined Greek forces determined to resist the Second Persian invasion of Greece in 481 BC. This was not simply a tribute to Sparta's military prowess. The probability that the coalition wanted Leonidas personally for his capability as a military leader is underlined by the fact that just 2 years after his death, the coalition preferred Athenian leadership to the leadership of either Leonidas or Leonidas' successor Pausanias. The rejection of Leonidas and Pausanias was not a reflection on Spartan arms. Sparta's military reputation had never stood in higher regard, nor was Sparta less powerful in 478 BC than it had been in 481 BC. This election of Leonidas to lead the defense of Greece against Xerxes' invasion led to Leonidas' death in the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BC. Battle of Thermopylae. Upon receiving a request from the confederated Greek forces to aid in defending Greece against the Persian invasion, Sparta consulted the oracle at Delphi. The oracle is said to have made the following prophecy in hexameter verse. In August 480 BC, Leonidas went out to meet Xerxes' army at Thermopylae with a small force of 300 men, where he was joined by forces from other Greek city-states, who put themselves under his command to form an army of 14,000 strong. There are various theories on why Leonidas was accompanied by such a small force of hoplites. According to Herodotus, the Spartans sent the men with Leonidas on ahead so that the rest of the allies would see them and march with no fear of defeat, instead of midizing like the others if they learned that the Spartans were delaying. After completing their festival Carnia, they left their garrison at Sparta and marched in full force towards Thermopylae. The rest of the Allies planned to do likewise, for the Olympiad coincided with these events. They accordingly sent their advance guard, not expecting the war at Thermopylae to be decided so quickly. Many modern commentators are unsatisfied with this explanation and point to the fact that the Olympic Games were in progress or impute internal dissent and intrigue. Whatever the reason, Sparta's own contribution was just 300 Spartiates. The total force assembled for the defense of the pass of Thermopylae came to something between 4,000 and 7,000 Greeks. They faced a Persian army who had invaded from the north of Greece under Xerxes I. Herodotus stated that this army consisted of over 2 million men. Modern scholars consider this to be an exaggeration and give estimates ranging from 70,000 to 300,000. Xerxes waited 4 days to attack, hoping the Greeks would disperse. Finally, on the 5th day the Persians attacked. Leonidas and his men repulsed the Persians' frontal attacks for the 5th and 6th days, killing roughly 20,000 of the enemy troops and losing about 2,500 of their own. The Persian elite unit known to the Greeks as the Immortals was held back, and 2 of Xerxes' brothers died in battle. On the 7th day, a Malian Greek traitor named Heracles led the Persian general Hyrcanus by a mountain track to the rear of the Greeks. At that point Leonidas sent away all Greek troops and remained in the pass with his 300 Spartans, 900 Helots, and 700 Thespians who refused to leave. The Thespians stayed entirely of their own will, declaring that they would not abandon Leonidas and his followers. Their leader was Demophilus, son of Diadworms, and as Herodotus writes, hence they lived with the Spartans and died with them. One theory provided by Herodotus is that Leonidas sent away the remainder of his men because he cared about their safety. The king would have thought it wise to preserve those Greek troops for future battles against the Persians, but he knew that the Spartans could never abandon their post on the battlefield. The soldiers who stayed behind were to protect their escape against the Persian cavalry. Herodotus himself believed that Leonidas gave the order because he perceived the allies to be out of heart and unwilling to encounter the danger to which his own mind was made up. He therefore chose to dismiss all troops except the Thespians and Helots and save the glory for the Spartans. Of the small Greek force, attacked from both sides, all were killed except for the Thebans, who surrendered. Leonidas was killed, but the Spartans retrieved his body and protected it. Herodotus says that Xerxes' orders were to have Leonidas' head cut off and put on a stake and his body crucified. This was considered sacrilegious. Legacy, Antiquity, a hero cult of Leonidas survived at Sparta until the Antonine era. The Thermopylae Monument. A monument to Leonidas was erected at Thermopylae in 1955. It features a bronze statue of Leonidas. A sign, under the statue, reads simply, "Ionic," which the Spartans said when the Persians asked them to put down their weapons at the start of the Battle of Thermopylae. Another statue, also with the inscription "Ionic," was erected at Sparta in 1968. Modern, in the U.S. Army, the 5th Squadron, 73rd Cavalry Regiment, 82nd Airborne Division, with a detachment of 300 men, known as Task Force 300 and led by then Lt. Col. Andrew Poppers of Greek ancestry, was chosen to bolster the defenses of Baqubah in the Dila River Valley, Iraq and led a series of battles named after Greek city-states. A fiberglass replica of the Leonidas statue stands at the traffic circle marking the east end of Artillery Road in Fort Polk's Maneuver Box, the site of U.S. Army Joint Readiness Training Center rotations. JRTC's motto is Forging the Warrior Spirit. The statue stands south of a former artillery observation bunker known as the War Memorial, where painted logos of various units that have passed through the rotation there. These include 2 separate Army Brigade combat teams of the 25th Infantry Division, that call themselves Spartans. Literature. Leonidas was the name of an epic poem written by Richard Glover, which originally appeared in 1737. It went on to appear in 4 other editions, being expanded from 9 books to 12. He appears as the protagonist of Frank Miller's 1998 comic book series 300, as it presents a fictionalized version of Leonidas and the Battle of Thermopylae. So does the 2007 feature film adapted from it. Helena P. Schrader has produced a 3-part biographical novel on Leonidas. Leonidas of Sparta, A Boy of the Agiad, Weidmark, Tucson, 2010 ISBN 978-1-60494-474-7 Leonidas of Sparta, A Peerless Peer, Weidmark, Tucson, 2011, ISBN 978-1-60494-602-4 and Leonidas of Sparta, A Heroic King. Film. In cinema, Leonidas has been portrayed by Richard Egan in the 1962 epic The 300 Spartans. Gerard Butler in the 2007 film 300, inspired by the graphic novel of the same name by Frank Miller and Lynn Varley. Tyler Yitzhak portrayed Leonidas as a young man. Voice actors for foreign dubs include Tylo Schmitz and Georgina Carter. Scott Byrne in the 2007 spoof United 300. Sean Maguire in the 2008 spoof Meet the Spartans. Notes. References: Herodotus, with an English translation by A. D. Godley. Cambridge. Harvard University Press. 1920. Jones, A. H. M. Sparta, New York, Barnes & Nobles, 1967, Morris, Ian McGregor, Leonidas, Hero of Thermopylae, New York, The Rosen Publishing Group, 2004. Attribution: This article incorporates text from a publication now in the public domain. Chisholm, Hugh, ed. Leonidas. Encyclopædia Britannica. Cambridge University Press. External links. Leonidas and the 300 Spartans with explanatory animations, videos and rare images from Sparta's Archaeological Museum. Sparta Reconsidered provides a comprehensive look at Sparta including an essay on Leonidas. 1. The website Sparta Leonidas Gorgo is specifically dedicated to Leonidas and his wife Gorgo. 2.